So it couldn't be more perfect. It's Friday the 13th with what looks like a full moon out there, and it's unbelievably scary. And here we are at a haunted cabin, huh?
It's so great, isn't it?
It is. Tell us about what you guys do, because this is going to be so intriguing to find out if we can learn who's in this cabin with us.
Well, as a team, what we do is we help people that have experiences in their homes and they can't explain them. And so we would come in and do an investigation of the home. And hopefully through that investigation, we'll get evidence in the form of audio, visual, or photographic that we can show the homeowner and actually verify what they experienced.
And y'all have gotten a lot of evidence.
Oh yes, very much so.
Well, like what all have y'all compiled thus far?
Oh my goodness, we have files and files and files, but we have video of apparitions that have appeared out of nowhere and then turned and walked away. We've got voice recordings of voices that we've, like little children that talk to us, but they're not there when we're there, but we get it on the audio when we get back. We've had a few images on photos that we've taken at times, and we were even at an old pig farm one time when there were no pigs. Hadn't been pigs on the farm for 20 years, but we got pigs oinking on our audio.
Pig ghost?
Ghost pigs.
Come on, man. I hope we don't have any of those tonight. So when you come into a place like ours, this was built in I believe the kitchen part was built in 1850, and this section here was built in 1870. What are you looking for? I saw you guys walking around with equipment and everything. What are you looking for?
First of all, we take a reading of the house just initially to get what the house is normal, what the readings.
You're talking about like sound and everything?
Sound, EMF readings, electronic readings for electromagnetic energy. So there's a level that a location will have all the time. So we're trying to get that baseline so that we know when we start the investigation what's not normal.
Gotcha.
People will always say that if there's a storm going outside, a nice electrical storm, that provides a lot more energy in the air.
Right.
All right, so do you want to hear some of the stories from us?
I would love to hear.
Okay. These guys heard all sorts of things, saw things long before I did, and I didn't believe it. So Campbell, you and Carr, that's our oldest son, you were spending the night upstairs. Tell us about that story.
It was, I believe, just the two of us spending the night out here. We were upstairs in that bedroom. And I woke up around 3 o'clock in the morning, which that's apparently supposed to be the creepiest time of night, based on everything I've seen. And I started hearing something downstairs, and I didn't realize he was awake. But I heard it, and it kind of, moved throughout the house. It was just getting louder. And then it sounded like it got right up to the bottom of the stairs. And what it was unmistakably violin music.
Around 3 in the morning, I shot out of my sleep and heard a strange but faint noise coming from downstairs.
And I have no idea where it came from or who was playing it, but Carr, my brother, woke up. And then we started talking, and he said, you hear this violin music, right? Like, I'm not going crazy. And I said, yeah, I hear it.
I asked him if he could hear the music playing downstairs, and he also confirmed that he could hear that.
And he said, well, hum the tune, so I know we're listening to the same thing.
I asked him to hum the tune, and on the count of 3, we both started humming the tune together. And when we did, it was the exact same tune coming out of both of our mouths.
And I started humming it, and he started humming it, and we knew that we were not imagining it.
Well, as of right now, there's more here. We have at least 5 slaves in your home. We have a lady that I had an extensive conversation. She has a baby here. All right, now earlier we got quite a bit of activity on this, which is our K2 meter. I put out the mag light just because sometimes they like using that. It seems to be easier for them to use. Thank you, and you saw it just did it.
What does that mean?
They turn this on and off. It has to literally be turned on the end for it to work. And as I'm asking questions, they will turn it.
Whoa.
Thank you. They will turn this on and off. The people that I was talking to earlier are in this corner. The lady, which was a slave, and there are some children with her. because she is a slave, she may not respond because you guys are here. You may be a little intimidating. We've got so many people here. She's not going to talk to us now because slaves, and in particular women slaves, were to be seen and not heard. She has to be careful what she says to us because she's still living in that time period. So depending on what she says to us could cause her to get, hurt, or we were able to tell that she had been tortured at some point and mistreated. Just as we're talking, I can feel their presence. It's getting really cold around me. Is there someone around me right now, especially on this left shoulder? Is there somebody hiding behind me? Okay, it's not as cold now, so they're backing off a little bit. All right, are these cameras making you a little bit nervous? Just flash it just a little bit if they're making you a little bit nervous. Because they're not here to hurt. Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. They're just a little bit intimidated by all the men, for one thing. And the cameras, they don't know what cameras are. That's not something they would have seen. Is that correct? Turn it off if these cameras and all these things, if you don't know what they are, turn it off for me. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for them to get the energy to make things work, depending on, thank you. Just depends on how old they are, and the more they do this, the weaker they're going to get. As they get weaker, sometimes you may feel a coldness. They're using the energy from whatever they can get it from. And in particular, right now, they're taking it from me. It's why right now I'm absolutely freezing. If you touch my hands, they'd be like icicles. She did die. She had a stroke. One of the things that I'm a little unusual, I'm unique on the team because I am the sensitive and an empath. So as I was walking through, I was able to feel what she felt at her death. That's one of the things that I do. And sometimes I'm able to see through their eyes, so I can become them at some point. So from that, I was able to ascertain, of course, the headaches, the pain down the arm, and from that I was able to tell she had a stroke, and then she was able to confirm that through the K2. Any questions anybody has for anybody? Is there anything you've ever wanted to know?
Where do you get one of those flashlights?
It's just a plain old mag light. I got it from Walmart. So we definitely have a child. Got one right here. Got one that's he's about this high. And it's just kind of staying really close to me right now. It's a maternal thing. I get that a lot with children. I've sat in the floor. Yes, thank you. Is that you? Turn it off if you're the one that's trying to stay close to me. Is it you? Turn it off if that's you. And it's okay if it is. No? Just one of the smaller children? Is that who's over here close to me right now? Got this tall? Thank you. So we have a toddler, and they're not the one playing with the flashlight. They're staying over here to me. They're hanging on for dear life.
This whole encounter with the ghost started with a light. It's at the top of the stairs in the cabin, in the dormer. And we would always tell the kids, when you leave the cabin, make sure all the lights are off. And that one light they would leave on.
I'd turn off all the lights. I'd go upstairs and I'd make sure I'd look at it, take a good hard look at it, and I'd flip that switch off. And then I'd come back downstairs, make sure everything else is off. I'd get in my car and go home. And sure enough, next day, I'd get another complaint.
So I'm coming home from work and I drive by the cabin and the light's on.
Go around, turn off all the lights. I go up there, turn that light off. I get in my car and I'd pull out, and instead of going back up to the house, I'd pull down the driveway and I would take just a good hard look at it. It's pitch black, you know it, if there's a light on. So I'm staring at the cabin, pitch black, all the lights are off. I say, good, we got it.
Come on, man.
I go home, next day, same exact thing, lights back on. So I don't know how to explain that.
And at that point I realized we weren't dealing with misbehaving kids, we were dealing with misbehaving ghosts.
You've also got somebody upstairs. You do have a man here as well. As a matter of fact, one of our members has already been touched.
Who's been touched?
That would be her.
Yes.
What happened?
We were upstairs, and Angela and I were upstairs in one of the bedrooms, and we were using the ghost box to try and communicate. And all of a sudden, I just felt heat on my calf, and I could feel like a hand reaching around and just grabbing onto my calf.
When Elena said that, a chill ran down my spine because I was in the same room upstairs in my studio up there doing some work, and then all of a sudden, boom, something grabbed me on my leg. Just for a brief second, then it let go. It creeped me out. I got to find out what's going on up there.
Mr. Phil has come up here. He's very interested in seeing who might be up here. A few minutes ago, we got a response from you. Yeah, I see the bears going off in the window.
What does that mean?
That's electromagnetic energy over there. So something is setting that bear off because there's no electricity along that wall in that area at all. Okay. Can you leave the bear alone? Thank you.
Someone else can ask a question if you want.
Are you sad? Light up the bear if you're sad. Are you happy? Can you light up the bear if you're happy?
Light up the beer if you're angry.
Are you angry?
Wow.
Who's to say who the ghost was angry at? But anytime you're living in a domain and aren't aware of who else is living there with you, and the first thing you hear from is that they're angry or in a detestable mood, then that definitely, it makes me a little bit uneasy.
He's here, but he's very frail. And then there's another one. Thank you. Are you the older man I just described? Turn it off if that's you. Are you the older gentleman that I just talked about? Would you turn that off? So you must be the younger gentleman. He's stockier. He's more, he's got wide shoulders. He's more muscular, like he's got a squared off jaw. Is that you? Thank you. Now this is from what I was given. We didn't have evidence of the older gentleman that we were able to present to you. He never spoke, but from what I experienced, there is the older gentleman that I believe is the original owner of the plantation. He's an older gentleman. He's sick in bed, probably may not be able to speak. No, he's got something to do with this man. He's in more of a power position. As a matter of fact, the older man, and I'm getting a really bad headache on this side. The older man used to be over the house. Now this other man is taking on that position. Yes, sir, you are. This is the middle-aged one, the younger man. Why am I getting this really bad headache? What's going on here with my head? Were you part of a plantation? That was plantation. Plantation? Thank you. I think the other gentleman was the son-in-law that was the more vocal person that we got evidence on.
Is your name Mackenzie?
Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the last name?
That's who supposedly built the house.
Okay. Are you Mr. Mackenzie?
Or Dr. Mackenzie.
Ah, Dr. Mackenzie. Are you Dr. Mackenzie? Would you turn the light off if that's you, please? He's not acknowledging to Dr. Mackenzie.
Do you know Dr. Mackenzie?
Okay. So are you related to Dr. Mackenzie? Is he like your father or your grandfather?
That felt like a no. Like he was saying, no, I don't know him.
Yeah, he's not acknowledging it here.
Or are you not related to any of these people and we've got you completely wrong and you're somebody totally different?
Yeah. Well, because he admitted he's a son-in-law, so he's not so he's not blood related, you know. He's just by marriage only.
It was a working plantation. It was originally one of the first forts in the area to protect the people against Indians. And then it became a working plantation, and eventually there was a grist mill here and a general store and different things. So it was kind of the hub for the community at the time. And so we believe that was either on the property or very near the property. So there'd been a lot of people coming and going in this area, trading and that type of thing.
My thing is sitting in this room, and then I get an overwhelming smell of perfume. And it's coming from this room in here. So the first time that this happened to me, it was just like, it's not like gradually, it's like somebody walks in a room that's wearing too much perfume. And it's not a perfume that I ever smelled before. It's not a perfume that my wife has ever worn. So I got up and I started walking around and started smelling the candles. You know, maybe it's a scent coming. It was nothing like that. And so I would sit here and smell it. And then when I said something about it, is anybody here? It's like it goes away. It's not like, oh, it just, and maybe I smell a little bit, it's just boom, it's gone.
Do you have any knowledge of what that room was used for when the cabin was at its original location?
It was, I think that actually was the kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, it was sort of like a porch kitchen type thing.
Okay.
I see nodding of heads. So you think that's where a woman
Well, it
may
could
have
be a
been?
woman.
I don't want to be sexist,
Yeah.
but you know.
Woman could be in the kitchen and, you know, she's coming in to visit her man.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And that's me now.
That's right.
Wow.
If you're a woman, would you please turn that flashlight off for me? Thank you. Do you wear perfume? You turn that light on if you wear perfume, because everyone keeps smelling it. It's really nice. Yeah, I think she's just not wanting to acknowledge that. Is that a little bit too personal for you, maybe? Yeah. Are you by chance married to the man that's upstairs in the bedroom? Yeah. So they didn't live, or they were married, but they weren't together, so to speak. They each lived their own lives. She stayed in her part of the house. He stayed in his.
One of the more disturbing things that has happened here is we actually had one of their friends who was here, and he's not prone to making stuff up. He's not prone to saying a whole lot, really. I mean, he's kind of a quiet guy. But he was in the bathroom back here, which is next to my office. And as I understand it, he was using the bathroom, standing in front of the mirror, washing hands, you know, getting ready to come out, and looked to his left, and there was a lady standing in my office. Am I right about that?
This is what we've heard. And it was like a shape, not identifiable facial features, but a shape of a woman.
And he heard a voice from the office initially, and then looked over and saw what he described as like a blue thin spirit looking hologram kind of thing, almost kind of come up and stand in the doorway between the bathroom and the office.
And he said he felt an overwhelming calmness. And she even, I think, said to him, "Don't be scared of me."
And he said that as soon as she said that, he was just engulfed by a kind of an overwhelming, like calming presence that didn't even allow him to be scared.
Oh, there'd be plenty of time for being scared. Once Stones River Paranormal got the evidence back to their lab, their equipment had picked up something our microphones had not.
Can you touch me?
The man we're talking to appears to say, "I am the mean one."
Can you touch me?
Well, he says he's the mean one. So that would be the gentleman that was upstairs, which would be the son-in-law. And when you think about it, if he was the person running the farm and he was in charge of all the operations of the farm, he might be considered to be mean by a lot of people because he's the manager, he's the one in charge.
But the ghost wasn't through talking quite yet.
Is this where you stayed and slept? Is this where you stayed and slept?
That sent a chill down my spine, got me a little bit nervous.
This house is definitely haunted.
I think in the case of your home, I think they're just making you aware of their presence.
We found evidence of what we believe to be 5 entities.
The fact that they have been here all these years, they haven't been able to communicate with you. Well, just think if you were in a room somewhere and you tried to talk to somebody and nobody ever talked to you. When we came in, they knew we had that ability. They were starving for that attention.
All these entities are really just, they want to be acknowledged. They want to be known that they're here. They're not here to hurt anybody or to cause any trouble, but when they're turning lights off and on or they're touching you, they really just want to be acknowledged because they're here all the time and they aren't used to having people around, and so when people are here, they want to be involved.
They're ready to interact with you and make you and them a part of the same building.
Because at any point in time, anything could happen here.
It's like the guy says in Pirates of the Caribbean, you best be believing in ghost stories, 'cause you're in one.